And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean Crosby.
That's right. It is the Weighing In podcast with my man, Josh the Punk Thompson. But he's really not a punk. He's a great guy. I want to say that so everyone knows that. This is the Weighing In podcast, and we are ready to look at some of the fights that are coming up. You got the UFC with one of their fight nights coming up. Sean Strickland against Jared Cannonier. We got a whole list of the fights to go over. We got stuff to talk about from the past. Everything's just pumping out, man. We're just pumping it out, Josh.
Yeah, it's been a busy couple hours. So, Jared Cannonier versus Sean Strickland. I mean,
ooh.
Sean...
Man, you're going to go right into this. Look at you.
Nah, you know what?
You got nothing to say. You got nothing to say.
I really don't have a lot to say, man. I've kind of talked out a little bit this over the last 2 hours. We've done a lot. We've had some special guests, and
I told you we were going to. No. We got a whole lot more to go. You had that.
Hold on. Hold on, guys. I gotta be able to see what John's talking about. Oh, look at there!
Look at that!
I can see what John's talking about now.
I can see clearly now. The fuzz is gone.
I'm so old, man. I'm so old. I finally had to break down and get some glasses. You know what, John? I think you were right, buddy.
Yeah?
My days of being good looking are over. I can see.
Oh, they're
old. I can see it now. It's over, bro. It's over. I thought I always thought I was better looking than this.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. From that moment when you first have to go and get those prescription glasses, it's over.
It's disgusting.
Just give it up, man.
It's disgusting. I got a pair for TV, I got a pair for around the house, and I got some contacts.
The best is they tell you, they go, oh, no, these frames look really good on you. They look really good.
Oh, no. Bro, I went straight to Costco. I was like, whatever's the cheapest, hand it to me. I want a pair of thick frame ones that are durable that I can throw around, and I want a pair of skinny ones that don't look like they're on my face when I'm on TV if I have to wear them on TV. I also got contacts too. I just don't know how I'm going to take to them because I've never had to wear contacts.
Get that blinky dry-eyed thing.
Yeah, all the dry blinky thing. I wore the contacts last show. Yeah? It was bugging me. It was bugging me the whole show, man.
See, everyone thinks that you're making cat eyes at you.
Yeah. I was like, hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing?
Damn,
Good.
I just got a flash in my eye from doing that.
Yeah. Oh, man. Look, John, it has been raining like cats and dogs here in San Jose, California. It actually started to get a little sunnier, but then as the clouds kind of like separated and the sun came in, and then the sun went away and it started freezing. It was so cold. It was, I kid you not, all day today. It was in the low 30s. Low 30s.
Really?
All day. Even when the sun was up, low 30s. It never really got above 39.
I saw that you had that palm tree with the top of it came off.
Yeah, that was my neighbor. My neighbor lost their, kind of my neighbor. Yeah.
And I want to say one of our listeners was a smart ass and said, hey, is it John McCarthy under that damn tree? No. That was wrong.
Wow. Was it Amanda, our listener, or was it not?
No, it was not Amanda, our listener.
Not Amanda, our listener.
It was not. Jeez. It was Eric, our listener. He's a smart
ass. Maybe it wasn't, what was the name? Jamal Hall?
Jamal.
Might have been Jamal Hill there, podcast Dave.
Dude, that was, hey, you know how they talk about December 7th, a date that will live in infamy? Well, the name of Jamal
Hill.
It's going to live in infamy with Dave. Podcast Dave, that was one of the best right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you live in Scotland, get your kids out of school. This is Scotland education right horrible. There. Podcast Dave.
He looks at Jamal and goes, Jamal.
Oh, man.
All right.
Jeez. All right. Well, hey, let's get into
live
this card.
forever, Dave.
Yes, it will. We're not going to let it die. I actually want to start that Jamal Hill will be Dave's Joshisms. We'll have to include that into Dave's Josh. It'd be Dave-isms. All right. Jared Cannonier versus Sean Strickland. Both coming off losses.
Both of them coming off losses.
The UFC does this. They're talking about doing the Conor and they're talking about doing the Conor and the Michael Chandler one because both are coming off losses. And if you listen to my boy Islam Makhachev, he likes that fight because at least one of them will finally get a win. Now, Strickland,
that's the whole reason they do it.
And Cannonier, main event status, going to be I think it's going to be a fantastic fight. I think this is going to be a great fight.
Hey, right now I want to talk about my bookie. If you are looking to get to a gambling site so you can bet on all the fights, on football and baseball, on the World Cup, go to mybookie.ag. They are the people that you can go to, put your money down. You can get your money out after one bet. You do one bet your winnings one time, and you can get all that money out. That is a great thing when you look at online services. So go to mybookie.ag. They support the podcast. We support them. Thank you very much. I'll tell you, this is a weird fight for me. I really like Sean Strickland. I've known him for a long time, and he's a tough son of a bitch. Jared Cannonier can hit like a truck, and Sean is a guy that likes to come forward, and he talks the whole time, and he puts a lot of pressure on him. And the question is, how does Jared Cannonier handle the pressure of Sean Strickland? Because if he handles it in a way that he's just able to plant his feet and throw, man, let me tell you something. He's coming off of a loss to Adesanya. Okay, not a horrible thing when you look, and he went through that fight. Now, Adesanya and Strickland, although they're different, there are similarities in some of the things that they do. Neither one's a huge puncher as far as single punch knockout power, but they put volume on you and they wear you out and they use their length. So I think he's kind of at an advantage going into this one from one lengthy fighter to the next. I think Sean has had enough time between the knockout loss to Alex Pereira, but you never know what happens. It only takes one fight and that chin can change, and Sean has had a great chin. Mm-hmm. He's been able to take big shots throughout his career. Is that last fight the one that has changed him? I don't know.
I think it kind of all comes down to how fast he got back into the gym, how much, because the way he trains is just a lot of sparring.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone we've talked to
is not always good.
Spar is not always good. So I wonder how fast he got back in the gym. How soon did he start taking shots? Look, it's one thing to get back in the gym and maybe just ride the bike, lift some weights.
Hit the bag.
But all of those things still cause your body temperature to heat up,
yes.
which does not allow your brain to heal. If you talk to doctors, if you see whatever called neurologists, whatever they're called, to look
neurologist. It's
neurologist.
A neurologist.
Yeah. So I've had these kind of issues. Yeah, John Mahal. I've had these issues kind of like throughout my career. At the end of my career, I'd got dropped in training and I jumped right back into training, kept sparring, just kept going. And I noticed the chin started to kind of go away. I noticed that even just getting hit, I just couldn't take the shot like I used to. I also noticed as I got more tired, my brain didn't seem to focus as well. And it didn't matter how great a shape I was in. It just seemed like as I started to exert energy, as I started to get tired, things got a little hazy in there. And that was even like months after I had been dropped or whatever it was. It just, your brain never was allowed to fully recover. How soon did he get back in there? How soon did he start taking shots? Did he give himself 2 to 3 weeks of just resting around the house? I mean, I was told by my doctor, don't even read a book.
Yep, that's right. Absolutely.
Don't allow your brain to work.
No math problems, nothing like that.
You want to do mindless things. No word problems, no math problems, no Scrabble. Any of that stuff that causes your brain to work is doing damage.
Yeah.
So those are all things. He doesn't seem like he reads a lot of books or he does a lot of word problems. But he seems like somebody that would jump back in the gym after like a week or two.
Yes, he does. And it is the question, and that's, I hate to have that, in my thought process of when I look at this fight, but, Jared is not coming off of a knockout. He's coming off of a loss. He lost a decision. That's a big difference between the way he got that L and the way that Sean Strickland did it. And it is the question of the way that he trains, all of the sparring that he does. Yes, sparring is good, but it's also bad. You're taking shots. And when you did not, not saying when, if you did not give your body and your brain time to adequately recover, you will be a diminished fighter going into the next fight. Mm-hmm. Shots that didn't hurt you before will hurt you now. And the big factor is speed. Things will slow down. you will slow down because you will not see things with the clarity, with that same acuity that you want to go into a fight with. It's not there. And your brain just isn't ready for what you're going to be putting it through. And so I hope that Sean has had that break. We're going to see. It really is a question. Look, he's a stud, and the guy can fight. And he can fight on the ground, too.
No doubt about it.
And that's the real thing. He doesn't do that, but he can. He's got a decent ground game. He could, if he's going to look at a good way to get past Jared Cannonier, take him to the ground. Work him on the ground. I don't know if he'll do that.
But can he get him down? I know he's got good grappling, but his wrestling doesn't
He's
seem
not a
like
great
it's on
wrestler,
par.
no.
Exactly.
No,
and
he's not a great
Cannonier
wrestler.
seems extremely strong for the weight.
Oh, well, he used to be a heavyweight, too.
Yeah, I get it.
Look
but
at
we
Cannonier is an athlete.
We've pussyfooted around and we said, hey, we talked a lot about Strickland, but look, Cannonier deserves his dues. He just fought for the title.
That's right.
And
look at, he's beating Robert Whitaker.
Yeah.
Okay. He's beating a lot of freaking top middleweight fighters there.
Mm-hmm.
He is a stud. This is not a guy you should look past. Like I said, his fight with Izzy, yes, he lost the fight. He got outpointed. And that's what Izzy had been doing with a lot of guys and stuff. And he uses his length, and it's difficult to get past Izzy. But near the end, he started, stretching it out a little bit. He was landing some shots. It just was, too much to make up. But this is a fight where I look going into this. Yes, they're both coming off losses, but they're coming off of losses in a different fashion that can mean a big difference in the outcome of this fight.
I got it. Co-main event. One of my favorite fighters. One of my favorite fighters, John. Be honest.
Look at both of these guys, okay? I'm just being honest. Look at it. I love Sarukian. He is fun to watch, but the guy he's fighting is a stud. This guy is good, man, and he's good just about everywhere. Ismagulov is he's on fire right now. You're talking, what's he, 24-1?
Something like that, yeah.
And
I think he's got one or two losses. I believe it's got one. I can't see I can't see what the record is. There it is.
But I don't think that loss was in the UFC. I think he's undefeated in the UFC.
24-1, ladies and gentlemen. 24-1.
Pull up his record. I don't believe he's lost in the UFC. I think he's undefeated in his time in the UFC. Yeah.
3 fights. 4 fights.
Yeah.
Or 5 fights.
1, 2, 5. Can you count? What the hell?
Jeez. No, he's saying no.
He said 3 fights
in the UFC.
No. That was like the doctor with my broken ribs. Yeah, you got 3 broken ribs. Oh no, you got 4. No, you got 5. No, you've got 6.
Just keep adding them up, And every time he said another broken rib, he just added another $10,000 on your charge.
But you could take a look. He's got wins against good opponents in Thiago Moises. Okay, he's fought good competition, and he's come away with the wins. This guy is good. Now, Sarukian has got that wrestling. He is freaking tough as nails. This is a fantastic matchup. This one is really good.
Yeah, I want to know what Sarukian does coming off of his loss to Gamrot. Mentally, that fight, he could have potentially have won that fight.
Yep.
It really came down to that last round, and it was a great fight back and forth. Both of them had their moments.
Yep.
Sarukian is a dog. He's got to just keep his eye on the prize. He's super young. What is he, like 23? He's young, 23, 24, I believe, right? He's young.
24, I thought, yeah.
Sarukian?
Yeah.
26.
Oh, 26. Yeah, 26. Okay, so then, and you've got Ismagulov, right? He's dynamic. I also feel, though, with him, he kind of makes he leaves himself open. In some of his stand-up exchanges, his transition, I think he's good. I'm not saying he's not.
He's good.
I'm saying he's very dangerous.
Yeah.
I think if Sarukian took anything away from the fight with Gamrot, is to capitalize on the wrestling, control the position, never settle. That, like, he showed a lot during that of the never settling position and not allowing that to happen to him against Ismagulov. And then on the feet, defensively, believe in your jab. Sarukian has a great jab. He throws great combinations. He just got to believe in it more. It seemed like he was hesitant to believe in it in that fight with Gamrot, even though he was throwing it on the feet, but it was like a couple like flinching hesitations. He's got power. He's got great combinations. He's got to throw it. Got to believe in it.
Yeah, you do. There's no doubt about it. But that's a fantastic fight. Amir Albazi going up against Alessandro Costa. Albazi, man, he's good. He's fun to watch. He just came back off of injury. He had one fight, so he's getting back in the cage pretty fast here. Man, he's got good stand up. He's got good wrestling. This is going to be a very tough fight for Mr. Costa. Very tough.
Yeah, Alex Caceres versus Julian Erosa.
That's a banger's brawl right there. I love Julian Erosa, man. He comes to fight, and so does Alex Caceres. Alex Caceres is good. Alex Caceres.
I thought you said Alex Caceres.
Alex Caceres.
I was like, okay, Dave.
I'm just taking
Scotland education system.
Jamahal.
Oh man.
No, Alex Caceres is just he's fun to watch, and he's so fluid in what he does. Julian Erosa is that guy. He's got a lot of skill, but he will take one to give one. Alex is the guy that he likes to give one and get the hell out of the way of the one that you're throwing.
He's a point fighter.
He's
a point fighter, but things come from all different angles.
Yep.
He's dynamic and they come from all different angles. He's learned to mix it up. He's also learned to conserve his energy and fight at a good pace, a pace he can control. Yep. And when you overextend yourself, he can put you on your butt and he can dominate the top position. Where he lacks is, I think, the physical strength to get himself back up to his feet sometimes. And he's chasing the submission that's never there. So if he can put himself to be the top guy if it does hit the ground, and if not, if it doesn't hit the ground, great. But just point fight, stick and move. Hit him with some dynamic stuff though. Hit him with the spinning heel kicks. Hit him with the spinning back fist. Mix it up. Keep it the way he normally does. It's going to keep Erosa guessing.
And, when you look at Caceres, some guys have submitted him, but those are usually top guys as far as top level grapplers. When it comes to, most guys, he can hold his own on the ground. It's not that he is not, not skilled there. He is skilled there. And I think him against Erosa, that matches up very well. Mm-hmm. That's just a good fight. The one before it, though, is the one that I look and go, that could be a great fight.
Best fight of the night, I think.
Drew Dober versus Bobby Green. Mm-hmm. The real question will be, how frustrated does Drew Dober get? That's my question in this, because he's gonna end up missing. He's got a guy that's awkward and talks a lot, as far as not awkward in that he's awkward that his hands are going to be down. It's a different look for you, and the punches are going to come from angles that he's not used to.
John, am I wrong? Didn't Bobby Green get cut or released for a little bit? Did something happen?
There was supposedly going to be a suspension, and then it was nope. There is no suspension, and he's back on the card.
I mean, I'm happy because I love me some Bobby Green, man. I fought Bobby Green, and he's a fantastic fighter. He's a really nice person.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Drew Dober, I think that he will just come forward. He will try to.
Drew Dober's gotten better and better and better.
Bobby Green may come forward too. Actually, they just meet in the middle and let's just throw down. It should be a fun fight. The thing with Bobby Green though is that he mixes it up, and he's pretty much one of the only fighters I've ever seen use the shoulder roll, that boxing shoulder roll, and he works it to success.
Successful with the shoulder roll. Successful. I see guys try to use it and they're not successful,
and they get knocked out. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So, but what I want to know is, John, you've got Drew Dober, Bobby Green, you got Caceres and Erosa, and then up there with Ismagulov and Sarukian. But then I don't want to skip too many, but man, you've got Jake Matthews, who's coming off a great performance way down there. What is going on?
I can't tell you exactly what's going on. I look at sometimes these things don't make sense, but the Drew Dober versus Bobby Green being the first fight on the main card totally makes sense to me. Cody Brundage against, and I'll never say it, Michelle Olkachuk,
Don't
from
even
Poland.
Try, man. Just say Mikhail.
Dude, I love him as a fighter. He's fun to watch. He's got, he's tough as hell. He'll take shots. Brundage is going to be there for him, but he's the real deal. This dude can fight. So I look at that and I understand that's a good matchup for
Yeah.
your main event of your preliminaries. But the Jake Matthews versus Matthews Semelsberger,
I think
Jake Matthews is good.
I think he's gonna continue to have a coming out party.
Semelsberger is, I think he lost. Did he lose his last one? Pull up Semelsberger. I think he lost his last one, but the dude is tough as nails. Yeah, he lost his last one.
Yeah,
and that was against Alex Morano, who just fought, against Ponzinibbio. And you look and you go, I can understand how he lost that one, and that was one that Alex had trained for and stuff. So, Semelsberger he's the real deal. But Jake Matthews, you're right. In his last fight, huge difference, huge uptick in his composure, the way he fought, everything. So I look at that. That's a good fight coming in for Jake Matthews.
Yeah, I'm just really, I believe it is as well. But I mean, I'm shocked as I'm looking down towards the lower end of this and some of the fighters they have on there. Said Nurmagomedov, down on number 5. I mean, just a fantastic fighter. You got Brian Battle down there as well. You got Hoffa Garcia, just a fun fighter to watch.
Yep.
It's shocking
Manel
to me
Cape.
Manel Cape down there as well.
Guy who keeps on trying to work himself towards the main, keeps on getting pushed down onto the prelims.
Yeah. But Julian Marquez versus Duran Wynn. I mean, I'm a Duran fan because he trains at AKA. I'm a little bit of a homer. And all of you guys that listen to the show, you guys know I'm going to ride with my boy no matter what.
Duran is definitely going to need to get takedowns there, or the Cuban Missile Crisis is going to land a scud.
It's just strange to me, though, John, that we've got action-packed fighters kind of down on the bottom there. But this is also one of those cards where they put some good fights in the middle, I think almost to keep you interested as you go. Because I look at Manel Cape versus David, how do you say his name?
Dvorak.
Yeah. Good. That should be a good fight. It should be a fantastic fight.
That is a good fight.
I don't know anything about Brian Battle's opponent.
Okay.
I'm gonna just maybe you do, but I'm just saying 8-1 versus 19-1 seems like a little bit of a stretch. Brian Battle is still young, still has a lot of growth that he needs to go through.
Coming off winning the tough.
I know, but this seems like a big step up in competition. 19-1 versus 8-1.
It is.
Ooh, that's a lot. And then having him so far down, though. And then
I would agree with you, but it seems that a lot of the luster from the tough has faded out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so it's not quite. When you won the tough early on, you were up right away into your main card.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it just doesn't happen the same way now.
I feel like the Contender Series gets better, guys.
Absolutely.
In terms of pushed up in the rankings more. I mean, you look at guys like Sean O'Malley, you look at the other fighters. Rosas Jr. They're all coming up pretty fast, so they're getting closer to the main card than these guys off tough. So if I'm a young fighter, I'm like, man, fuck tough. I'm going straight to fucking Contender
Seriously.
Shit.
If you look and you go, well, neither one.
Yeah.
I know they talk about you get $100,000 contract.
No.
It's not. It's over a lot of fights. So
I was gonna say you ain't locking me down in that damn contract. Even at my age right now, this old age shit.
Hey, look at you want to fight in the UFC. Here's your chance. And so you look and you say, okay, I'll get through those fights. But I think you're right. I think the Dana White gets a little bit more. A little more juice as far as where they're going to be placed on the cards.
So Said Nurmagomedov, click on his record, please. He had a tough fight his last fight. I'm trying to remember who it was.
He won his last fight.
I know he did. I know he did. He went three rounds in the decision. Though he started to get tired towards the end, as I recall.
Yeah.
Because he had a good fight against Cody Stamann. I remember that fight. And then the Mark Striegel fight. I remember that fight.
He destroyed Mark Striegel in that one.
Yeah. But I remember looking at his last fight with, who is this? Silva de Andrade. And he started to have some issues about halfway through the second round. He started slowing down. He was throwing a lot of flashy kicks. He has more of that Taekwondo style stand up. He's a good wrestler, but doesn't utilize as much as you would see more of like an Umar Nurmagomedov. Yeah. But fantastic fighter. Yeah. But he's got, I think in this young stage, in this young part of his career, he's going to have to learn how to pace himself, control that energy at certain points. Not everything can be flashy and exciting. As much as I know I'm a fan too, guys, I'm just talking in perspective for the young fighter. For the young fighter to learn how to control the tempo of the fight. No reason to take losses when you don't need to. Is there any other fights on this card you want to talk about? We kind of flashed through them a couple towards the bottom, but
yeah, we flashed through the ones at the bottom. And like you said, the Jake Matthews versus Semmelsberger, I think that one's a great one. And I honestly think the Dvorak versus Manel Cape is a great fight.
Yep.
Like, Manel Cape is fun to watch on the feet. He's getting better as far as his wrestling. It's, his wrestling defense is much better. Dvorak can take the fight anywhere. He's good. He's a solid fighter. I'm not sure as far as the speed. I think the speed of Cape is going to be better than Dvorak's. He's very fast, but we'll see what, how Dvorak, works himself into managing that speed and making, if he can, Manel Cape fight off his back foot. If he can do that with Cape, he's got a good chance of winning that fight. If he allows Cape to control the range and distance, it's going to be a long night.
The thing with Manel Cape, right, is that one day he's utilizing his wrestling and knocking people out, and the next day he's not utilizing his wrestling. He's sticking and moving and staying on the outside.
Yep.
I get when your opponents change, but like majority of the time he's faster than most.
Yep.
He's got pretty damn good wrestling. He's physically stronger than a lot of the guys he's fighting, and he possesses power and speed if he had just more output.
Yeah.
I look at him as a fighter that if I'm a coach, I'm going, look, go out there and actually fight, and you probably won't have to spend as much time in the cage. Your athleticism, your talent, your ability to do everything and mixed up, you get these guys out of here, especially at the level that he's fighting these guys at. He should be up there in the higher levels.
He's always worried about being on his back.
Yeah,
that's where he gets his losses from. If someone's able to put him on his back, it's not a good thing for him. And so he's always worried about that, and it slows down his offense.
Yeah. All right, well, hey, that's gonna wrap up our UFC talk, and I think that podcast, Dave, we got some news to talk about, buddy.
Yes, we sure do. So I want to get a perspective from you guys on this whole Doug Crosby thing. And I'm trying to be careful about my words here because there's so much being said about it from everybody and everyone and everything and all places except Joe Sonnen. And so there's reports now that he's under investigation. But a big part of what came out was like Ariel Helwani's comments about how he judged at Bellator on Friday. Judged in favor of Stotts on a fight that was, quote unquote, a clear win for Stotts, and then flew out to the UFC on Saturday, and then judged in favor of Paddy in a fight where the other two judges did as well, but just kind of looking at the overall picture there, and it sounds like there's history there as well. So, John, I don't know if there's anything you can give there, and then Josh, anything you can kind of add to it from the perspective of a fighter, and how this impacts the career.
Go ahead, John.
Well, all right, as Josh would say, all right, I want to make this abundantly clear. Doug Crosby and I do not like each other, okay? Doug Crosby will sit there, he hates me, and I'm glad, okay? It makes me happy. So there is no love lost between Doug Crosby and me. But when you're talking about this situation, I made a living off of flying all over, being in Russia on a Friday and being in Las Vegas on a Saturday. Okay? Did it all the time, never missed. And so officials get assignments. They get licensed in different places. Now, Doug is licensed in the Mohegan Tribe in Connecticut. He was there for the Bellator on Friday night. He did the main event. People didn't like his score. I'm agreeing. I don't like his score. I don't think it's a good score. I thought the other two scores were the correct scores. So you take a look, and then they see him, and this is where the real thing has come up. Is he had a score of 50-45 for the losing fighter. So there's never been in any, I guess, MMA fight where in a 5-round fight, one judge has gone 50-45 for the guy that loses. So that's part of the controversy, I guess. So that's there. Okay. Then he flies the next day and gets to Las Vegas and works the UFC. And he has the Paddy Pimblett fight, which is the one that now then there's controversy over that, because basically a lot of it is based upon the Bellator fight. Let's just be honest. If there wasn't the Bellator fight, people would not be happy. Paddy is that guy. If you're looking at him, he is polarizing. He has people that love him and he has people that hate him, and that's certain fighters, and that's okay. The people that don't like him think that, it was a robbery and he should never have won that fight. And the people that like him think that it was a good call and he should have won the fight. If it wasn't for the Bellator one, I don't know if there would be as much controversy. But the fact that Doug Crosby was in both locations, look at Herb Dean does it all the time. Mark Goddard does it all the time. There's not, the regulatory bodies are going to tell you, there's not enough top officials, is the way they'll say it, for us to not share these people back and forth. So that's why you have people that, like I used to, we travel, from one location to the next. There were times that, I was doing fights on Tuesday, I was doing fights on Thursday, I was doing fights on Friday, and I was doing fights on Saturday. I was traveling to all of those, catching a flight early in the morning to get to, the next one, and did it for an entire career. So the fact that he was in both places, that's done all the time. All the time. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Now, let me I'm gonna kind of go a little bit hard in the paint.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go more hard on the paint in the media.
Okay.
Look, Doug Crosby is obviously not the best judge. That's his history of his decisions.
If you go and look at the history, and and the problem is you can look at MMA decisions and things like that. Look, I've had, and you've been there, and it hasn't been with him because I don't talk to him. He doesn't talk to me, and I don't want to talk to him, and I don't talk to him. But I've had blow-ups with commissioners or people over him and his shitty scores. But what happens? Nothing, because it's a matter of, it's just my opinion, and it really is. I'm not saying that I'm any better than anybody else, but you can take a look and say, hey, where is the credentials that tells you that this is the guy that is the best person to put in that seat? Where are they, Josh?
I don't see him. So I'm not going to argue the fact that he probably needs to either get knocked down to a lower tier until he can actually begin to understand how the scoring criteria is meant to happen. I'm not going to argue that point. But what I am going to argue is that the media right now, what took you guys so long? I'm just going to be honest. He's made decisions that were a lot worse, but in a lot bigger gapped fights. That fight with Rafion Stotts, I could kind of see how he went 50-45. I'm not saying it's right, by all means. But the guy kept getting takedowns. The guy kept dominating positions. The guy just didn't strike enough. But that's where I say, he got into a rhythm of, and this can happen. The guy got into a rhythm. He got more takedowns. He controlled more positions. He had dominant positions on the back. These fights were not, none of these fights were not like robberies by any mean. I didn't look at the Paddy fight as looking at it as a robbery. They were not like, oh, this guy definitely won. I had Gordon win the fight. To me, it was clear that Gordon won the fight. But I can look at it the other way. Paddy was able to knock Gordon back quite a bit, threw some big shots, landed some big combinations. Now, let's take into consideration where these judges were sitting. Did I get to see Gordon's face get snapped back and the sweat fly off of his face, blood go onto the front row? If I'm that judge, or was my back to that person and I didn't see it as much? And so you have to take all those things in consideration. Now, I don't know the UFC's, their TV thing situation. Do they have one in Vegas? Do they not?
Yes, they do. But
Okay.
let's be honest. Okay, let's take a look at the UFC. The cage and the way that they situate it, because they're the ones that decide where the judges sit. They have had it for as long as, the Zuffa has been part of, the UFC and in owning it. You have 2 cage doors on the octagon. The judges sit in those 2 spots are 2 of the judges' chairs, which means you're looking through a gate, which has extra poles, and you're looking through more poles that are up and down because it's got to have this, the pole to hold the gate. And so you have sometimes this much padding in front of you that the fight is going past and through. It's not an easy thing to do. And yes, you're trying to move your head back and forth. It's not easy to see things. And then you've got the referee moving in front of you at times. And look, it's tough. But that's on the UFC. And the UFC can sit there and complain all they want. You give one judge a good seat. One, that's where you see the ring card girl sitting. There's one judge sitting there. That judge has a good, clear view. Other than that, the other 2 judges get shit seats. Change it. You want better scores? Change it. Because you should.
I think in this scenario though, John, like people make too much of these things being robberies when in reality they're not robberies. They're just close fights.
It's a close fight.
I'm tired of hearing robbery. That term's being thrown around as much as the fucking words the GOAT. Stop with that shit. Okay? Stop with it. It's so annoying to hear. The fight was close. The Patty fight was close. The Stotts and Sabatel fight was for sure close. He got onto a rhythm of, hey, the guy that I think is winning is the guy getting all the takedowns. Okay.
But but the problem with that is this. You're scoring off of an old system.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to evolve with everybody else, because if you're on your own system, there's a problem.
Yeah.
You can't be on that. I don't give a shit if you don't like the new system or not. Don't like it, don't judge. But you have got to be in line with your peers. As far as I give credit for this, my peers give credit for that. It can't be, well, this is the way I look at it. No one gives a fuck the way you look at it.
Yep. And I'm sure in many of these ref meetings and many of these commission meetings, the conversation is, well, I look at it this way. Well, no, we don't care how you look at it. But I started this whole conversation with the fact that maybe he does need to go down to just doing the prelims, or maybe he needs to not work the big shows. He needs to go back down to doing King of the Cage or LFA or whatever, and focus on judging back down there and then bringing him back up. But that's how I started this whole thing. But I go back to the media though. The media is making a big deal about this, and they're making a big deal about it over 2 very close fights.
Yeah.
Like, and I get it. Like, and then they're trying to, like you said, they're trying to correlate. Oh, well, he was in Mohegan and then he was here in Vegas. That's what refs and judges do. And like you've said, you've done it pretty much your whole career. So let's not make too much of that either, because now all of a sudden you guys have figured out that, oh my God, these guys actually do more than one show a week. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. You guys are traveling everywhere on very minimal, probably sleep, showing up and doing your jobs. I understand that part of it, and I get it. Like, but I also want people to understand, like, there was so many fights from before with him that people should have had their arms thrown up. Like, what in the is going on? What is going on? And it just took now for it to happen. This should have been taken care of a long time ago. And I think some of the lives on the commission needs to say, hey, I know we don't have a lot of top tier judges, but we need to remedy this situation as soon as possible. Mike Mazzulli just put out a thing saying, hey, we're looking into it right now. We're going to, go back over it. We're going to talk with him and the other judges and see what they saw and why they scored it that way. At least he came out publicly.
Which is a good thing to do.
Commissions don't do that. They tell you to eat shit. Okay. At least Mazzulli's coming out and going, hey, you know what? We see maybe there's a discrepancy of how the judges were done. It's very obvious. Let's go ahead and sit down with the 3 judges, walk it through and what you guys saw as we watched the fight back through. And they're going to look to solve the problem. I just don't think it's going to take for Crosby to fix the way he judges stuff. That one sit down. I don't think it's going to happen. Because he has a tendency to do this quite a bit. So you're going to have to basically put him to the D leagues or the B leagues, whatever you want to call it, the G League in basketball. I don't know, whatever it is. You got to put him back down. And then you're going to have to bring him back up if he starts to score better.
But let me ask you a question, Josh. You and I have known each other for how long?
Shit, I've known you since 2002, right?
Okay.
When I had my
fight, But in all that time, up until 2018, all of our conversations were either as a fighter and referee talking to you, or, hey, man, how's it going? How you doing today?
Yeah, that was it. We never really talked, yeah.
Okay.
I was a punk and you were old. Yeah, so.
But that's part of the problem is you have certain fighters that'll tell you have somebody that's coming to them and offering them sponsorships. How is it that you have judges or referees now doing things as far as, oh, here, I can help you with this, or I can help you with this, and you're a fighter? Because if you're that fighter, that's great. What happens when that fighter now is fighting in front of you and you help them with something? Do you have the possibility of, is there a conflict of interest?
Back this up. You went completely off judging fights.
Well, let's just be honest.
Where are we at?
This comes from, you have someone that hands out.
Who's you?
Doug Crosby.
Okay.
He hands out sheets saying, you guys need to say these lines, because he comes from the movie industry. Hey, he puts guys in stunts and movies because, hey, I can get you into this movie. It's just, you have to separate it. You have to separate this. You want to be in the movies and you want to do that, that's great. You can still do the judging, but you can't bring fighters involved in it to gain any kind of, oh, hey, this guy did me a favor. Can't do it. And this is what, Ray Longo got into a long time ago with Doug Crosby. Ray Longo will not allow Doug Crosby to judge any of his fighters because he feels there's a conflict of interest there. Eric Nixick, now out of Extreme Couture, Rafion Stotts, he looks in and goes, hey man, every time I have a problem, it seems to be I look over now, and I'm telling you right now, Doug Crosby and Randy Couture, they have a relationship because Doug Crosby got Randy Couture into movies and stuff, into stunt work and stuff like that. This is where it all crosses over. And you look and you go, you can't have that crossover. There comes a point you've got to cut it off. You can say hi. You can say hello. That's all fine. When you start doing more, you're asking for trouble. It's bad. Can't have it. Now, I'm not saying he's doing it now, but I know it was done in the past.
There was a situation, I want to say it was Ronaldo, where a ref walked up. I don't know if he asked for an autograph or if he did something and it got caught on footage. Maybe it wasn't Ronaldo. It was a football player. Anyways, I can't remember, but they asked him when he was leaving the field. That shit was all over ESPN. It was all over all the news. It was like a big deal.
You know how many fighters I asked for pictures?
Zero.
That many.
Yeah.
Zero. Now, I had fighters all the time ask me for pictures. And I would take a picture with them. It's their picture. It's their phone. It's their camera, whatever. Okay. That many times.
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
Yeah, but you know what, though? Now that you're not a ref anymore, you a hoe, bro. You be taking pictures with everybody.
I take pictures with everyone. It's totally different.
No,
These are the things you have to do, though. There has to be a separation.
I didn't know that about the movie thing, and that's kind of you have to think in terms of if a ref for a football game in the NFL, or for a ref in the NBA, or an umpire for Major League Baseball was like, hey, yo, yeah, let me get your number. I'm going to go ahead and put you in some movies. That's a little, or I can get you this commercial. Ooh, I mean, yeah. And if you're the fighter fighting that fighter that he got into a movie. See,
I know too much.
More weird. Yeah.
Okay. And it goes beyond the fighters. And this is where you look and you go, hey, for whatever reason, it hasn't been looked at. It needs to be looked at.
My whole take on it, and I've said it already, but my whole take is he should have been taken. He should have had to be addressed a long time ago because there were some bad calls on some big profile fights from in the past. But now we've let it get here, and it got stirred up because of this. But these two fights, these were some of the closest fights. Yeah, it just really came to head because all of a sudden, one day he had a 50-45 and one day he had a close fight for a star in Paddy Pimblett.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason why it came to a head. Otherwise, we wouldn't be caring anymore. The media wouldn't care. People wouldn't care. And I looked at these two fights. I'm like, they could have won either way. I mean, I think at least the right people. I don't think Paddy should have won. I thought Gordon won, but at least it was Stotts. I thought Stotts won the fight, but it was close. I got to be honest. Had it been 20, what was it? What are the scores?
48-47, two times for Stotts.
If it would have went the other way and it was the same scores, I wouldn't have cared. I'd have been like, look, I get it. Maybe I didn't agree with it, but I think I get it. It was a close fight. It was a good fight. It was a really good fight. Two ferrets rolling around the ground, man, throwing some punches here and there, and on the feet, it was fun. I don't know. That's the way I took at it, though. That's the way I look at it, though, John. Dave, you were saying something off air about the Ariel Helwani comments about how the integrity of the sport's being jeopardized because of the Krause situation. Yep. I personally don't believe it is. I don't think it is. I think you have a one-off of a coach that you ever seen that graph? Fuck around, find out. That's exactly what happened. Well, he fucked around, and he's gonna fucking find out exactly what happens. And I actually liked Krause. He took it to another level. Oh, this is not a big deal. No, it's a big deal when you're gambling. You're skewing fights, and people are paying a lot of money, and it's a big deal. But I don't think the integrity of the sport is being questioned. I think that people are just navigating their way right now. All the promotions are having to navigate their way through the fact that there's new betting apps everywhere. The sport books are involved everywhere. This is a learning curve right now, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm glad that it's happening early right now so they can start implementing some really strict guidelines for this stuff not to happen again. So the integrity of the sport is never questioned when it comes to this type of stuff. In terms of what was the other part, Dave, that you were talked about?
And so Ariel's beefing with Paddy Pimblett right now, and so he said on his show, don't tie us to that because like if you want to you can, but that's not what it's about. But between the beef and then the fact that you said right, like Crosby's been screwing his face up for a while, so why is it only now that you're bringing it up? Like that, I think that's a very good point when you look at Ariel being one of the guys making the most noise about this. I think what is happening, to be honest, now that I've just kind of processed what you were talking about, is that Paddy Pimblett, John, is they've been trying to slate him to be the next Conor McGregor. And we saw the other night that he's not the next Conor McGregor. Now, he's still young. Maybe he'll make his way. He's still young. But I think what they're looking at is Crosby working the UFC events, knowing that Paddy's going to be the next guy, probably, and skewing the fight maybe that direction. That is, to me, something that maybe questions the sport's legitimacy more so than this gambling situation. This is something that, like, over the life and the duration of Crosby being a judge, we've had too many of these fuck ups. And just now it's because of the attention that Paddy was getting with the Ariel comments with Dana White. And then now the judging going the way that it is, this brought more eyeballs, and actually the media started paying attention to it now, specifically Ariel, because of all the news that was surrounding him and Paddy, and the fact that the judge gave him a decision that many thought he lost. It's a good way for Ariel to roll this into his MMA show, MMA Hour, for him to roll this into that and talk about it. But I've also seen that Luke Thomas has talked, about the judging of Crosby. The history shows that this is what he does. I think now, because of the Paddy situation, him being this next Conor protege type thing, that they're like, wait, this is not the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to still get good fights. We're supposed to still get, and they're not getting that right now. They're supposed to be getting more, I guess, John, is what I'm trying to say from these judges. And we didn't get it that night, is what they're talking about.
Ariel is talking.
Don't put your foot in your mouth, okay? Keep it to it.
I'm not trying not to. But Ariel is talking about something when you're saying what's worse than the gambling thing is, he's talking about a judge currying favor with a promoter, meaning that he feels that the promoter is trying to push fighter A over fighter B. So if it's a close round, I'm going to go with fighter A to make the promoter be happy with what I'm doing. I'm not saying that's what occurred, but if that occurs, it's wrong. And look, I can tell you, I've seen it in small time shows, you know, be it in MMA or boxing that I've been working, you know who the local people want to win. And I've seen judges that, I know the fighter in, the red corner lost that round, but he's the hometown favorite. And I see a judge give the score to him based upon he wants to make the people happy. And that's weakness. It's weakness. You have to be that person. Like, to be a judge sucks. You don't get paid. Yeah, I'm just being honest. You don't get paid. People think, it's so, I could do such a good job. You're always going to have decisions that you have that people are going to absolutely shred.
You don't get paid to be a judge? You don't get paid to be a judge?
Yeah, you get paid.
Oh, you just said you don't get paid, so that's why I was asking.
You don't get paid much.
A lot. You don't get paid much. Got it.
Depending upon the shows and what it is, you take a look at, it's $1,000, $1,200, something like that for a big show. When you're doing the small shows, $150.
Jeez,
but to get ripped the way they get ripped sometimes, man, a lot of them say it ain't worth it.
No. Because
you're always going to have people, no matter what, no matter how right you are at times, that say you were wrong because they wanted the other fighter to win. And if it's a close fight, their guy got robbed. And it's tough, but it's just part of it.
All right, guys, next topic is Nick Diaz is making comments that he's coming back in 2023. He's going to be a whole new Nick Diaz. He says he's going to be quicker than ever, stronger than ever, and better than ever. What do you guys think about this?
I hope so.
I would love to see it. How's that?
So. I'm sorry, but man, Nick and Nate Diaz, they fucking are this sport. Like, I can't say anything bad about them. I'll never say anything bad about them. I fucking love them, man. I love both these guys. They're fantastic fighters. They've done a lot for this sport coming through, and they're OGs. I got nothing bad about it. I hope to see him come back and be spectacular again. Hope so.
Absolutely. I'm in agreement. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, John,
I hope
his boxing, as long as he's in shape, his boxing is on par. His jiu-jitsu, as long as he's been training his jiu-jitsu and it's back up the track, it's on par. I just, with him, you've never had to worry about his cardio. In his last fight, he just didn't seem like he was himself. He just, the weight thing, that's very unprofessional. He's never been like that before. It just seemed like he seemed like mentally he was going through a lot.
He did not want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, he just, I
didn't want to be there.
I think mentally something was going on with him mentally, like whether it was life or just things, the fight, the stress of the fight coming up, not having done it for so many years. Who knows? Yeah. I'm over here just speculating, to be honest. Yeah. But I hope to see that after he got that first one out of there, the jitters are out of there. I'm hoping to see him get back. I mean, look, I don't need him to win every fight. I just want to see him in there because I love watching him fight. I love it. So I wish nothing but the best for him. We're gonna leave everybody on this. It's in the news. Our good buddy Michael Bisping said some very nice things about John. So I want to make sure we pull this up.
Oh
no, what he said about John. I know what he said about me, you twat.
My whole thing is.
Oh, I like this. Go ahead. Let's read it. You know what? Let me read it.
So I was actually gonna. Go ahead. I was gonna say. So Bisping went on. So somebody asked Bisping on Twitter, "Who's your favorite all-time referee?" And Bisping replied, "Even though he does a podcast with a bit of a dildo, I'll go with Big John McCarthy." Josh replies, "Someone needs to correct this twat. It's not dildo. It's Bad Take Thompson. Enjoy the Wing In podcast, buddy. Still you like your champ." And then somebody said that I have to box Bisping's producer, and Bisping's producer calls me out on Twitter, says, "Yeah, if we're gonna do this, it has to be in a boxing ring." And then now I'm wondering if I have to defend Josh's honor in a boxing ring against Bisping's producer.
Shit, my honor's in a lot of trouble then, son.
Oh, it sure is.
Oh shit!
But you're saying Bisping has additional comments?
No. It was just that I want look.
Oh.
I don't know what the remarks are and why, but I know we've gone back and forth just through our podcast itself. I really have never talked to the guy. I ran into him at the Chuck Liddell Tito fight a long time ago in LA. Said hi to him, talked about possibly trying to get him on our show because we had just started it, I think, back then. And And that was it. I mean, I had trained with him a long time ago in Huntington Beach. I mean, I don't have anything against him. I actually kind of like the guy. You know, I got a lot of respect for him because for somebody who I look at him, I don't want to say it like a John Fitch because stylistically they're not, but for what he accomplished in his career was remarkable.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to continue to say this. Look, social media to me is a fucking joke. I use it as a joke. And if you guys ever, if you ask the conversations I've had in terms of, you know, with my beef with Ariel and all that stuff, I use it as a joke. I give two shits until you're man enough to give me a call and talk to me face to face or in person over the phone. I don't give a fuck what you say on social media. I use it as a gag. It's a total gag to me. It's a joke to me. And so for me, my response was very simple. I like you, brother. I would think you've been a pillar for the sport. I appreciate you. I think you've been a good representation of your country. I got nothing but respect for you. So you can call me whatever you want. But when I see you in person, I hope you have that same energy because that's the way it should be. If you have something to say to me, say it to me the way you did. And I want to know why. That's the other thing. If it's anything like this,
I saw it and I was like, why did Mike say that?
Yeah, I have no idea. So maybe it has something we said on our podcast a while back and it came out of my mouth, but I don't know. Who knows? But I got nothing but respect for the guy. I think he was a fantastic champion. He beat my friend for the title. Still got respect for him. It's not like I dislike him. He trains at Ruka. I'm very good friends with Pat Tenor. I'm good friends with everyone that's out of Ruka there. All good people, man. He surrounds himself with good people. I like all of them. I like him. Nothing but respect for him. What do you got?
I will just say that British like banter is just kind of along the lines of what he said here. So I really don't think there's anything like personal. It's kind of just the way British people are assholes. And Michael Bisping is good at being an asshole, I think.
So right there, we just came back now.
Wow.
Look, I'm gonna say this,
but if I have to whip someone's ass for you, Josh, I'll do it.
All right, there you go, baby.
Jesus.
Like I want to say that like Michael Bisping was a fantastic fighter.
Yes.
I'm probably he went with me because he won his the tough. I was the referee for him. When he won against Luke, I was the referee for him. But I was also the referee for him against George, and that one didn't go his way. But look, for a guy, when you take a look at what he accomplished with the tools that he was given, man, he is a hell of a fighter.
Yeah.
Cardio wise, phenomenal. Had a hell of a pace. Didn't have the biggest punch in the world, but man, you know what? He was.
He had output.
Yeah, exactly. He was a volume master. He put shot after shot on you, and he is tough as hell.
Yep.
He was a tough-minded individual. So
look, I don't want to bring up his. I'm going to bring up his loss to Dan Henderson, but look, a lot of guys would have fucking rolled up shop and just bounced out. Probably just never recovered from that. He came back and won a world title after that. That's right. He came out and fucking had some fantastic performances after that.
He lost an eye after that, and still fought.
Exactly. And I tip my hat to him, man. So that's why I commented the way I did. Hey, still like you, champ. Yeah. We're gonna wrap this show right now, and Dave, there's no way that his producer's making 170. So you got lucked out. You lucked out.
Is that his producer in the middle there?
Yeah. I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
It's all right. It's okay. There's no way he's making 170.
Come on, dude. Just a couple shots to the body.
that guy's one step away from being Big John size.
I was gonna say you should call him Mini John McCarthy.
Mini John.
There you go, baby.
All right, guys. Well, hey, we want to thank you guys so much. Go to WeighingInMerch.com. Pick up some of our sweatshirts. See, I did it right. Hoodies and everything available on there. It's new material. As you can see, it's very nice quality, great stuff. And I want to thank you guys. John, take us away.
Hey, for everyone out there, I hope you enjoyed the show. Just do me a favor. Be nice. See you later, guys. Bye.